welcome to Mission to Inspire. My name is Shola, and we have a wonderful guest here with us, all the way from Canada. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're welcome on our show today, Sherry.
Well, thank you so much, Shola. I'm so honored to be here with you today.
Thank you for coming on our show. So, our name is Sherry Shaban. Um, I know a little bit about her. I've read her bio and all of that stuff, but I think it's always best to hear it from the horse's mouth. So, Sherry, I leave it to you to shoot.
Sure. Well, first of all, good job pronouncing my last name correctly. It doesn't always go that way, so good on you. I'm based from Montreal, Canada, and if you don't know where that is, it's a very cold place most of the year. And I got into the health and fitness space in my early 20s, and I'll always say I kind of got into it by accident. And here's what I mean by that. Growing up, I was super involved in sports. I would say, a child athlete, very competitive. I was a competitive swimmer. By the time I got to high school, I was in the varsity sports. I was always MVP. Winning gold or first place was really a natural part of my identity.
Mhm.
And that all kind of came to an abrupt stop when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I was struck by a car. I was going downtown with my roommate to pick up Pearl Jam tickets. I was actually living in Lugano, Switzerland at the time, back in Europe. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up in the hospital. I had shattered glass all over my hair, all over my clothes. And after a couple weeks of recovery, the
Mhm.
doctors at the time telling me that I had some abrasions on my face and I was just going to have to maybe heal a couple bruises. What I didn't realize was that I had actually damaged my spine. And
Mm.
that only started to show up a couple of weeks later when I came back to basketball practice. I thought at first it was muscle soreness. My glute, especially my right one, was extremely sore, but the pain kept intensifying until it was radiating all the way down my leg and getting worse and worse very, very quickly, very rapidly until I needed assistance and support to do very mundane things like showering. I couldn't sit for a long time. I couldn't walk uphill. Going from sitting to standing was very, very painful. And so it was at that point that I went to go see a doctor for it. I flew back home to visit my parents. And then I learned that I had several layers on my spine of herniated discs, so several different sections of my lower spine, and I needed a back surgery, an emergency surgery. And so after that surgery, the doctor sat me down and said, "Hey, listen, you know, you've got some upcoming things in your future." Again, I'm just barely turned 17 at this point, and they shared with me that I'm no longer going to be able to play sports. I have to change my lifestyle. I can't do any twisting motions. I can't do any impact, and light walking on a treadmill would be maybe more suitable for me moving forward. So I listened to this advice for years, Shola, and just found myself relying on pain medication to get through the day. They weren't doing very much, but they were doing a little bit, and my whole world revolved around my back, where I was going to sit, what type of social environment I was going to be in. I always had to make sure with the host that there was a place for me to lie down. If I was in class, I'd have to go speak with the professor and let him know, look, you're going to see me go in the back and lie down because I can't sit for a long time.
Mhm.
And of course, during that time, because I had so disconnected from my identity, I disconnected with the social environment that I was used to, I ended up spending more time in a very different crowd,
Mhm.
the type of crowd that your parents warn you about and tell you don't follow these people and peer pressure and don't listen to that advice.
Yeah.
And so I needed connection, and that's what us humans need. We need to feel like we belong, especially at that age. And it wasn't until I was about 2021, I just woke up one day after a night of doing a lot of things that really I didn't resonate with. I just woke up with this massive aha moment of, I'm like, who am I? Like, who is this girl? I never would have thought that I would become this person. I always saw myself as this athlete, this person who's inspiring, this person who's really using their physical body and just pushing themselves to the limit in a way that's
Mhm.
very competitive and very resonating with who I am and who I always thought I was as a kid. And so it was at that moment that I decided to commit and sign up at a local gym. And that was really my first experience into the fitness space. In fact, I was studying chemistry at the time. I was doing a master's degree in chemistry.
No.
And so I signed up at the gym. I just copied people around me, whatever movements they were doing, I did it. Whatever machine they were using, I did it. I don't know why I was doing it or for how long I was supposed to do it for. I was just consistent and I wanted to reconnect with my body. And of course, at that time, I had a lot of back pain to deal with. And
Mhm.
so it was very delicate. I didn't go back to the gym or sign up at the gym starting to deadlift a bus, for example. I was really just very in tune with my body and trying to be more intuitive with what felt right for me at that moment.
Mhm.
And so months of that suddenly resulted in not needing to be on the pain medication anymore. I realized that my pain was gone. I was able to buy a treadmill at home. I started running, even though the doctor said, never run, that's not good for your back. I started running 5 minutes at a time, eventually working up to an hour and then starting to run outside. And it was at this very moment that I decided, oh my goodness, this is my life's calling, and I have the story to really help people shift identity, because if I can do this
Yeah.
against doctor's orders, then anyone can. And
Mhm.
so I completely switched careers. I went back to school. I studied exercise science. I
Mhm.
became an osteopath. I took every single course and certification I could about the human body, about nutrition, about biomechanics, about injury prevention. And
Mhm.
then the ball just kept rolling from there. And that's where I am today, really helping people overcome obstacles, whether that is a struggle with weight loss, limiting beliefs, or an injury or some disease that they are currently experiencing.
Well, thank you for that. Because today we are discussing rewiring our brain for fitness success. And it is the anti diet approach, using your approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we're discussing today. Um, can you actually share more about your journey? So you've discussed your journey, but then you were a victim of circumstances to becoming a renowned expert. And I guess that's from the accident that you had when you were young.
Right. Yeah. Whatever we believe we are,
Mm-hmm.
whoever we believe we spend our day doing actions to support that belief. And so during that moment where the doctor said, Sherry, you have a back problem. You have a bad back. And
Yes.
all of my parents' friends knew me as Sherry, the girl that got hit by a car with a bad back. So
Yeah.
because every single day I'd wake up being like, oh, I have a bad back, gotta be careful. Oh, I can't sit in this car, I gotta be careful, I got a bad back. And everything was
Mm-hmm.
about my bad back. That's what my world looked like. I became the person who constantly was struggling with back pain and had a bad back. And
Right.
so there was a major shift that happened, of course, as I started to train, as I started to shift my identity. There's a lot of energy that goes into that, but the energy comes from our belief systems. So
Right.
that moment I had in the morning where I felt out of alignment, and you're out of alignment when you're not happy, when you're not joyful. There
Yeah.
is a separation between what you're doing and
Mm-hmm.
how you're feeling. And so
Yeah.
there's no alignment. You feel out of integrity. Your body speaks to you in that way. And again, our body speaks to us through emotions, constantly making us feel shame or guilt or uncertainty or worry, and all of these emotions that are lower vibration emotions that sit very uncomfortably in the body. And so because I always had this vision, and we all have this vision, by the way,
Yeah.
we have this vision of who we are meant to be or what we're excited about from the moment of childhood. So if you ask any 4-year-old, what do you want to become? They tell you, and it's big. It's a big, big, big dream, and they have this big goal in life. But now enter all of our life experiences, limiting beliefs, maybe what mom and dad said about what I should or should not do, what society said around what should or should not be success. And now you start adding all these layers of what the shoulds should feel like and what we're supposed to be doing with our life. And that's how we fall out of integrity. And so, a big part of you really creating transformation versus having results is you shifting your identity. We can all have results, we all get results, but you notice that when we are aiming for results, they're very temporary. So most people who want to release 30 pounds, I'm not saying lose, I say release, by the way, because lose is losing keys that we want to maybe find at some point. But when we release weight, and that is our goal, we're focused on what we're going to be doing, but we
Yeah.
never focus on who we're going to be being. And
Mm-hmm.
so understanding that if we really want transformation, and transformation is permanent, results are temporary. If we
Yeah.
want transformation, we
Mm-hmm.
have to also focus on who do we have to become to be that person. So instead of
Right.
focusing on, for example, I want to release 30 pounds, we shift into the thought process of who do I have to become to be the person who's 30 pounds lighter. And now that is an anti-diet approach. That is now an approach where we are looking at our habits, we're looking at lifestyle, we're looking at who we're being. How are we showing up? What is the language that we're using? What is the attitude that we are experiencing every single day and exhibiting? And what are the type of environments that we're sitting down in? Is that conducive to who I am going to be and who I want to be, or where I currently am now?
Wow. You just said something. So we should ask ourselves, who do I want to be like that has shifted 30 pounds? Is that what you said?
Right. So, as an example, so let's say right now someone's listening in, and we always see this during New Year's resolutions. So, this year I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, which really, again, is focused on results. We are focused on results. We're not focused on system. And
Right.
when we're focused on results, we're just
Yeah.
focused on a number. And here's the thing,
Uh-huh.
when we're focused on a number, right? Because
Right.
our society puts everything very numerically for us. The
Mm-hmm.
moment we see on the scale, boom, I hit that 30-pound weight loss goal,
Yeah.
stop working because I did it. It's like submitting taxes. I get all my stuff ready for my accountant. I send it off. I
Yeah.
stop working, right? But when we focus on who do I have to be, as in what system do I have to operate to become that person, I now can look at small lifestyle habits. If I want to become that person who is 30 pounds lighter, not just lose 30 pounds, but be that person where I don't have to exercise and diet every day and worry and stress about my weight gain. I just can naturally be that person who's 30 pounds lighter than where I'm at today. I want to think,
Ah.
what do I do in the morning when I wake up? What's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that I consume? Who do I spend time with? What are the things I watch? What is the type of language that I'm using? Am I calling myself the F word, which is the FAT word, by the way, not the other F
Mm-hmm.
word?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, what am I saying about myself? How am
Mm-hmm.
I exhibiting that behavior? If you observe a person, let's say, who is a millionaire versus a person who's struggling to
Mm-hmm.
become a millionaire, their habits are very different. And
Very.
so, if let's say even around business, if your goal right now around business is I want to make $100,000 a month as, let's say, revenue, well,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? Who are you being to match that identity? Because if you're
Yeah.
sleeping until noon, that's not going to be the person. If
Mm-hmm.
you're maybe using cannabis all day and maybe being distracted and watching a lot of TV and not really maybe following up with leads and whatever it is that you have to do to become that person, doesn't matter. You will not hit that goal, or if you do happen to hit that goal, you
Mm-hmm.
won't stay at the goal. So
Yeah.
whatever part of our life we're talking about,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you want to create in your life, I'm going to challenge you to stop focusing on the outcome, stop focusing on that goal. And we're so goal oriented in our society, but instead shifting to ask yourself, well, who do I have to become? Who is that person? Let me now embody that person, because when I embody that person, I'm running a system, and the system on repeat is going to continue to give me the outcome that I've always wanted.
Wow, wow, that is brilliant. It's just shifting our thoughts, our thought of mind
Yes.
into
Yeah.
what we should be or what we want to be, what we want to look. So it's like picturing yourself in the mirror. I want to look like this, but what do I do to look this way? And then shifting our thoughts towards that. Wow, that is brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh my God. What actually inspired you to develop your revolutionary method?
So the rest of my story continues, and the part that continues is as I started to get into that space where I was now deep diving into athletic therapy and exercise science and all these courses in nutrition,
Yeah.
because my goal was, well, I'm going to support people. I'm going to find the right way to eat so that I can magically help everybody to get the fitness and health that they desire.
Right.
So on that mission and on that journey, I came across many, 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 many diets.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, when during that time when I first started to be in this space, everybody was talking about calorie counting. It was all about calories in and calories out and monitor your calories and count your calories. So I
Mm-hmm.
jumped on that, even though initially my goal was not to release weight. I wasn't struggling with my weight. I was struggling with chronic back pain. But
Yeah.
I started doing that because I have to do it. If I'm gonna tell my clients how to eat, I better also be following what I say. I have to stay within my
Yes.
intention. So it
Yes.
started like that. And then all of a sudden I heard about the low fat diet. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're not supposed to be eating fat. Fat is terrible for us. So right away I switched everything and I did the low fat diet. Then all of a sudden this guy named Atkins was talking about how we shouldn't be eating carbs and we should actually be eating a lot of fat. So I jumped from no fats to all of a sudden super high fats and eating a lot
Oh,
of meat products. And then all of a sudden I heard about paleo because I joined the CrossFit world and everyone was talking about how you have to eat like a caveman. So I'm like, okay, I got to now switch how I eat. So I ate like a caveman. Then there was the zone diet. And then all of a sudden I jumped on the zone diet. And then everyone was talking about keto. So then I jumped on keto. Then all of a sudden everyone was talking about macros. And then I jumped on macros. And then all of a sudden everyone was talking about becoming vegan. And so what ended up happening throughout this process is I was becoming very confused because I'm a person of integrity and I like systems. And so it felt very, very stressful if I somehow came off that system, if
Yeah.
somehow I did not count things properly, if I wasn't completely adhere to all those numerical values that I was following on an app or on a piece of paper. And so while during the week, what I noticed in myself was that I was being super clean. I was meal prepping. I was following whatever rules there was of that week, which by the way, changed almost every single week depending on what diet I was reading and researching on. I
Yeah.
would notice that by the end of the week, I would start to rebel. My body would start to rebel against me. And all of a sudden, I would start to crave all the foods that were not good for the week, the foods that I had deemed bad, the food that I deemed we weren't supposed to eat, and the foods that I was also telling my clients we're not supposed to be eating. I would
Right.
find myself secretly eating all these foods and eating these foods in excess. I built a disordered relationship with food simply from the over knowledge and the over restriction and the overemphasis and stress around my food, and of course the polarization around my food. And by
Yeah.
polarity and polarization, I mean food's good, food's bad, food healthy, food unhealthy. And so what I started to notice too, as I was secretly struggling with this, there was a lot of shame around that because I should be the expert. I should be the one who knows and feels comfortable around food. What I noticed while I was secretly struggling during this time, a lot
Right.
of my clients that I was working with, those
Mm-hmm.
who had been struggling with their weight and their health the longest,
Mm-hmm.
also had a disordered relationship with food. They were
Right.
secretly binge eating and emotional eating and mindlessly eating and nighttime snacking and
Mm-hmm.
unable to even distinguish between hunger cues and emotional cues to move towards food. And
Wow.
so I started to really deep dive and look into the nervous system as
Yeah.
part of this involvement. And of course, my primary objective is to heal myself, heal my relationship with food, but then also to help others. And so it was during this research, and of course, with my studies in osteopathy, just understanding the human body, understanding the nervous system. And the part of the nervous system that I am talking about and referring to is the autonomic nervous system, which governs all the processes in the bodies that are not voluntary, the ones that we don't have to really think about. And so
Yeah.
as I got into this space and started to learn more about how thoughts and emotions are also very much tied into this part of the nervous system, I
Mm-hmm.
then started to create a protocol that I started to test on myself and then on my clients. And now the approach is anti-diet, and it's really about shifting the nervous system because when our nervous system is triggered for protection, it's always going to turn on that binge mechanism. It's going to drive us to overeat. And not just that, it also is going to drive us to conserve energy. And so when we trigger the part of the nervous system, which I refer to as protection mode, it's also known
Yeah.
as sympathetic mode, but I also expand a little bit more on that with thoughts and emotions. But when we are chronically triggered into protection mode, we slow down our metabolism. We have a tendency to gain weight. The
Yeah.
preference of the body is to gain weight, it's to store body fat, it's to store energy. But when we learn how to actually manipulate nervous system versus manipulating food,
Mm-hmm.
manipulating diet, manipulating
Yeah.
restriction, we
Mm-hmm.
actually are able to have the body work with us instead of against us to reach our goals.
Right. Okay. So in your own opinion then, what's the difference between transformation and just simply achieving results in health and fitness? Because I think there's a difference between transformation and just achieving results.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as I was mentioning earlier, transformation becomes this permanent process.
Exactly.
It's really us changing who we are as
Mm.
individuals. It's changing our character
Yeah.
because results are very temporary and we're very result oriented in our society in general. I want to make
Exactly.
this much money. I want to
Yeah.
have this many clients. I want to have a house that looks like this. It's all about results, 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 but not really about the process.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. It's all about results. Our community is always about results, result and results. We are result orientated, as you rightly said. How do you help individuals, especially busy moms? Because I know you're a mother yourself. And professionals overcome the cycle of compulsive eating and embrace a sustainable, enjoyable approach to fitness and lifestyle.
Oh, so beautiful. So the first thing is really just monitoring language. And
Oh.
it is to allow ourselves to think dialectically. So let's say you're a busy mom right now
Mm-hmm.
and you have a 40-hour a week job, you've got a lot of responsibilities in the home as well. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our thought is, I want to exercise and I want to train, but I'm a mom. Or I want to exercise and I want to train, but I have limited time. And so the first thing I'll say is let's reframe that and let's remove the but, no more buts. Let's add an and. I'm a busy mom. I've got kids. I have a 40-hour a week
Mm-hmm.
type job
Yeah.
and I'm focused on my goals. So I want to do all
Mm-hmm.
these things. Or I want to train, I want to have a beautiful routine at the gym and I want to restore my health and I'm a busy mom who's got all these things. So the moment that you put and you create possibilities. You create
Right.
ways to explore it. So now
Right.
we're starting to look at like, okay, well, what can I do that actually fits my schedule? What can I do that actually fits my lifestyle versus it
Mm-hmm.
needing to look a certain way and very rigid and be in a box. And
Yeah.
so that's the first thing. So start with the language, reframe the language to open up your mind for
Right.
solutions and possibility. Then the second thing is I would recommend to do something, and this is a process that I do, which is called future self mapping. So start to reverse engineer who is it that you are wanting to become? Not what is it that you want to do, but who is it that you're wanting to become? This follows all the conversations we've had up to this point. Who is it that you want to become? What is that vision of your highest self? What does that look like? Does it look like maybe you're running while your kids are cycling next to you and you're able to do both at one time? Maybe also you've got a crock pot, you throw everything in there, you go for a walk really quick, you come back and you start to match. So start to really look at what is it that you want to create, the vision of that. From there, you reverse engineer where you start now to look at, okay, well, what do I have to incorporate as a habit? What is the next habit that I have to put in? What is the next habit that I have to put in? Maybe habit number one is I need to drink more water. Maybe habit number two is I'm going to add more steps in my day. Maybe habit number three is I'm going to meal prep, or maybe even I have access to a meal prep service that can solve this problem half of the time. So
Yeah.
now you're starting to get very creative around how to gain back time, how
Mm-hmm.
to facilitate that process. But we
Yeah.
can't go there and we won't think this way if I need to lose 30 pounds. I just need to lose 30 pounds. I just have to lose, which is again what most of us are just focused on. We're focused on
Yeah.
that outcome and not again
Yes,
focused on that
that
system.
is true. That is very true. Thank you so much for that word of wisdom. Have you got any word of advice for people listening to you today?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, Shola, before I share, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. You're a
Thank
beautiful,
you.
gorgeous being
Thank
of a light. So
you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
One thing I do want to leave you with is it's never too late. It is never too late. Whether you're 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, I work with women of all ages and every single person can accomplish their goals if you
Yeah.
learn how to shift the nervous system. So if you're feeling that, if that's a limiting belief that you're holding on to now, let's release it because consistency is what drives results. It's not intensity. It's not you needing to work out 7 days a week to get results. It's
Right.
you needing to work out a little bit over a long amount of time, periods of years to
Mhm.
get results. It's not that one salad or going really strict for a week that's going to offer you the results. It's
Right.
being in a place where it is adaptable, it's sustainable, you can commit to
Yes.
it because it fits your lifestyle. It's easy, it's in flow
True.
with who you are and
True.
consistently stay there and you're gonna get results in no time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on our show today. I know you're a coach. I know you coach people. For people out there who want to reach you for one thing or the other, how can we reach you?
Well, the easiest place is to go to at Sherry Shaban Fitness on Instagram. You'll see the retreats I have there that I offer. I have a retreat in Greece coming up this October. You'll be able
Mhm.
to get in touch with me directly. And then if you've liked this conversation and you're noticing that you are struggling with unwanted eating behavior, emotional eating, stress eating, any of those things that are really self-sabotaging right now, then
Yeah,
I invite you to check out makepeacewithfood.com. I have a free download for you there. It's a free little workbook. It's a place where you can self reflect and really start to work through some of the things that we spoke about today.
thank you so much.
Thank you,
One
Shola.
last thing. One last burning question is about mindset and self-limiting beliefs. How can we come off this limiting beliefs? Because I think it's something that actually, bothers a lot of people. A lot of people would do things today because of their limiting belief, not because they can't achieve it, but people like, well, I don't think it's for me. I'm okay the way I am. I can't bother.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting. We hold on to these beliefs, whatever they are, whether they've been there for a long time, whether they newly developed because of an experience, but we never question them. We never actually challenge these beliefs. And so, if right now, let's say a belief that you have, and this is a common one for most women,
Yeah.
a common one is, well, after you have kids, that's it. Your body's gonna go whatever. It's all over. You're back
Especially
to
the
being young
tummy.
forever. Right, especially the tummy. After you hit 40, you're going to gain weight all the time. That's it. Your metabolism slows down. So all of these are limiting beliefs. And
Yeah.
so we don't challenge them. We're like, okay, I heard that, so I'm just going to believe it, right? And that's all. It just kind of stops there. So
Right.
my advice to you is challenge this belief. And the first question is,
And then this
where did I learn this? Where did I first learn this? Okay, so when did that happen? How old was I? Where did it come from? First of all, where was it implanted? When was it born? The
wow.
second the second one is, who said that? Who said
Mm.
that? Okay, who said that to me?
Mm.
And did the person who say that to me, like, what was the reference? Where did it come from? I have this particular rule in life, Shola, that I don't take advice or opinions from anyone who's not doing what I'm trying to do, or who hasn't already done what I'm trying to do. If they've done
Wow.
it, if they've proved that it's possible, I will listen. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And then the final thing too is, again, asking yourself, where have I seen this belief falsified? So for the
Okay.
belief of, oh, after having kids, your body's this and that, go look on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, go look, or go Google fit women over 50 or 60 or 70 or 80, and you'll falsify that belief. So number one, find out where it's born. Where did it come from? Number two, who said that to you? And then number three, how can I see the opposite? How can I see this belief actually be falsified? And that's a really beautiful way to start. Every single influencer, famous person, inventor, anyone who you admire and follow, if you read their biography and you read their life story, it is a common thing that they failed and failed and failed and failed their way forward to success. And once you know
Wow.
that that's part of the formula, that's part of the magic equation, that is so much more accepting. Because with every obstacle, with every time that we fail, quote unquote, it's not a fail, it's a learning process. It's a way for us to know that we need to pivot. And those who continue to achieve their goals are those who have the intention and the heart and the love to never give up. And so
Oh my
never give up,
goodness.
because truly fitness is possible for everyone.
Thank you. Never give up. Fitness is for everyone. And we just have to challenge ourselves, basically. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sherry. It's
Thank you, Shola.
lovely having you on our show,
My
sharing
pleasure.
all those insights, all the advice. I mean, coming straight from the horse's mouth. Thank you so much, Sherry, for joining us
Thank you so
today.
much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And until next time, it's Sherry and Shola. Don't forget to subscribe and keep watching and listening to us and liking our comments and putting in some comments as well. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Like, follow, comment. Until next time. Goodbye.